You are live.
Prior to calling the meeting to order, I'd like to start with Pembroke Land Acknowledgement Statement. As we gather today, I would respectfully acknowledge on behalf of the council and the community that the city of Pembroke resides on the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We thank the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. It is with this statement that we honor and respect the Algonquins on whose land we reside. I'll now call this meeting to order, and we'll start off with approval of the agenda.
Okay. You want to go ahead?
I move to approve the agenda.
Seconded by Marcel. All in favor of the approval? Carried. The minutes of January the 16th of this committee have been sent out. And I'll ask, first of all, are there any errors or omissions? Yes.
Number 4, appointment of a vice chair. Moved by Ms. Levesque. It was missing a seconder. Certainly, I believe I seconded or was intending to second it. So I think it should be amended to seconded by Councillor Keel. And other than that, the minutes look good. So I would move that we adopt the minutes as amended.
A seconder to is seconded by Jose. Any errors, further errors or omissions? If not, I'll ask for the approval. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof? Seeing none, we'll proceed to new business. And the first piece of new business is A-1 2023 560 Miller Street. Mr. Planner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
If you would.
The applicant, Sean Buckwald, has submitted a site plan for the addition of a second driveway at his property at 560 Miller Street. Mr. Buckwald would like the second driveway to allow for additional parking on lot for his tenants of the 2 existing converted dwelling units. The existing driveway on the property is approximately 14 feet wide. The proposed new driveway would be approximately 15 feet wide. Therefore, the total proposed width for the property would be 29 feet. 560 Miller Street is zoned residential type 2 R2 by the zoning bylaw. Regarding parking, the zoning bylaw states that parking area is permitted in all yards, provided it is in a driveway. The width of a driveway shall not exceed 30% of the width of the front lot line or 20 feet, whichever is the lesser. As the property has a frontage of approximately 65 feet, a total driveway width of 19.5 feet is permitted by the aforementioned provisions. Therefore, the applicant is requesting relief of 9.5 feet to facilitate his proposed driveway addition. The zoning bylaw further states that the minimum distance between 2 separate driveways on one lot measured along the street line shall be 25 feet. A distance of approximately 28 feet would separate the 2 driveways, exceeding this requirement by 3 feet. The relief requested can be considered minor in nature due to its minimal streetscape impact. Based on measurements taken from the city's geographic information system, the nearest driveway on an abutting property, being 554 Miller Street, would be approximately 76 feet away from the location of the proposed new driveway at 560 Miller Street. The relief requested can be considered desirable in the neighborhood as it would add off-street parking to the area, helping to relieve on-street parking congestion on the relatively narrow Miller Street. The property is designated residential by the city's official plan. The official plan states that it is intended that the parking capacity in the city shall be increased to satisfy anticipated increasing traffic volumes and the parking needs arising from new development and redevelopment, and to alleviate the inadequate parking capacity in areas already developed. The proposed new driveway at 560 Miller Street directly meets this aim of the official plan. The provincial policy statement states that land use patterns within settlement areas shall also be based on a range of uses and opportunities for intensification and redevelopment where this can be accommodated. The proposed additional driveway will support the property's intended residential use and the current as well as future tenants and or owners' use of the premises. Therefore, the planning department is recommending that the committee approve relief from the parking area location on lot requirement as requested to allow a second driveway at 560 Miller Street.
Thank you. Thank you, Owen. Who represents the application? Anyone wishing to comment?
Sean Buckwald is the applicant.
Thank you. Do you have any comments?
No, I think Owen pretty much summed it up, that I just don't want parking on that street, very narrow street. The previous owner that owned it and rented out, there was only one person that drove, so he didn't need a second driveway.
Okay.
Now it's a different situation, so.
Any discussion from the members? Can we have a motion on this? then,
Mr.
please?
Chair.
Yes, I'm sorry, Marcel.
If I'm right, Owen, he's only asking for 3 feet.
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
No, he exceeds, the 3 feet noted was actually where he exceeds a requirement. He's actually asking for approximately, I believe, 10 feet. 10.5 feet. Oh,
Still accept.
9.5 feet, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Yes. Jose.
Have we received any submissions with regards to this application for or against?
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
No submissions nor informational inquiries have been received.
Further discussion? Can we have a motion on this decision, please? Moved by Councillor Keel.
I'll
Seconded
second,
by
Mr.
Marcel.
Chair.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion. Motion is carried. Thank you. The applicant will receive a copy of the decision within 15 days, and that there is a 20-day appeal period from the date the decision is mailed out to them. A2-23, 585 Perth Street.
The applicant, Tyler Sally, has submitted a site plan to construct a residential addition to his building at 585 Perth Street. Mr. Sally originally applied for a zoning bylaw amendment for the property in 2019. This amendment changed the zoning from a standard residential type 2 R2 zone to a site-specific residential type 3-39 zone, which the property is currently zoned as. This site-specific zoning was intended to allow for a 2-unit residential addition to the existing 2-unit converted dwelling. Mr. Sally did not immediately proceed with said work, but has recently had the property surveyed and the addition designed, the process of which has revealed additional items of relief required prior to proceeding. The existing building at 585 Perth Street was originally constructed in 1909. The building location survey commissioned by Mr. Sally shows that said building was built with a front yard setback of 3.8 meters and an exterior side yard setback of 1.5 meters. These measurements are short 2.3 meters and 4.6 meters respectively, both of a 6.1 meter requirement. The City of Pembroke's first zoning bylaw was enacted in 1955. These items have been added to the application as housekeeping items. The newly completed survey of the property also revealed that Mr. Sally's proposed addition will require relief for its exterior side yard setback of 2.5 meters, which is 3.6 meters short of the 6.1 meter requirement. Additionally, a proposed covered porch with a 0.6 meter setback will require 0.6 meters of relief, as the zoning bylaw states that a covered porch with a maximum of 2 enclosed sides may be no closer than 1.2 meters to a lot line. The covered porch will provide protection from the elements for future tenants, and Mr. Sally feels will add aesthetic character to the building. This requested relief can be considered minor in nature due to low impact in the neighborhood to surrounding properties. The applicable exterior side lot line borders onto the city's road allowance for New Street, meaning that no directly abutting residential property would be affected. The intersection of New Street and Perth Street has wide road allowances in each direction, and thus the proposed addition would not affect the sightlines of the intersection. Further, the addition would be set back still further from the exterior lot line than the existing building, and it does not increase non-compliance in the direction of the intersection. The zoning bylaw further states, where parking area providing more than 4 off-street parking spaces is located in a yard that abuts a lot in a residential zone, then a buffer strip with a minimum width of 3 meters shall be provided. In order to accommodate the total required amount of parking spaces the proposed addition would require, Mr. Sally's site plan shows a new parking area in the rear yard providing 4 parking spaces. In order to meet the zoning bylaws standard parking space size and access lane requirements, Mr. Sally is requesting relief of 1.9 meters from the aforementioned buffer strip requirement of 3 meters. His proposed buffer strip would be 1.1 meters on its northern and eastern sides. The buffer strip on the western side does meet the 3-meter setback. This requested relief can be considered desirable in the neighborhood, as it will ensure that all parking provided for the already approved 4 dwelling units can be accommodated fully off-street, reducing potential on-street parking. All other zoning bylaw requirements of the R339 zone, including lot frontage, lot area, interior side yard setback, rear yard setback, minimum dwelling unit size, and parking space requirements are easily met or exceeded. Therefore, this application can be viewed as in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw. The property is designated residential under the city's official plan. This application is directly in keeping with the aims in the official plan for intensification and redevelopment. This further is in line with the current provincial policy statement of 2020 with its aims of intensification. Therefore, the planning department is recommending that the committee approve the application for 585 Perth Street to grant relief from minimum exterior side yard setback, yard encroachments permitted, and parking regulations requirements, along with housekeeping items in the residential type 339 zone.
Thank you, Owen. Are there were any submissions received regarding the application?
We have a gentleman present.
Thank you.
We have 2 individuals present, and an informational inquiry was received prior to the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Is anyone wanting to come forward then, please?
And Mr.
Comment?
Chair, Mr. Sally is also present to support his application via Zoom.
Good, thank you. Okay. Okay.
I bought the house next to Mr. Sally's house, 1997. And he had a buffer strip in there, which actually was good and bad, depending on how he looked at it. But I have really no problems against the plans that he accepts, except where they're putting the parking lot. It was mentioned before that he was going to replace that at the fence line with another fence, so it could still have the privacy without the buffer being gone. I don't know what the plans are going to be for that. If that's actually going to go through, that'll be great. And the other thing I had in question was the location of the garbage storage. If it's going to be a nice aesthetic for fourplex and all that, it might be okay. But what being worried about is that it's about 12 feet away from my deck where we stay all summer. So that's including the variance and my property. So I was hoping that maybe can make some adjustments to the location, or at least good housekeeping for it, so we don't have to worry about animals around there, because we've had a lot of raccoons in the past. So I hope that maybe you can take that into consideration. That's it.
Anything further? Good, thank you very much. Any questions?
Sir?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, we just need to have the gentleman's name and address.
Oh, yes, I'm
Please, for the
sorry.
minutes.
Sorry, Kenneth Prairie, and I'm on 380 New Street, right next to the property at Tyler Sally.
Okay. Anyone else here, in the interested party wishing to comment?
With the children playing in the backyard, it's so close to the fence line.
Yeah.
Oops.
And if you wouldn't mind stating your name and
Ruth
address, please.
Johnson, and it's my son who owns the property next. And we were just worried with his children playing outside in the garbage so close to the property line, and the children play in the backyard, and being a quadruplex, there'd be a lot of garbage there. And also I wanted to know, is that where it says 6 I think that's 6.0? Is that 25 feet?
Owen, can you comment?
I don't have a conversion for,
From
it's
the
6
fence
meters, yeah.
line to the deck?
So it's 20, so 6 meters is 20 feet.
Pardon?
6 meters is 20 feet.
20 feet?
Yes.
Okay, the other one is 8.4. That's the one I was thinking of, 8.4. That should be 25 feet, eh? Same as if it was 8.4 meters. That would be right?
It's 27.5 feet.
Yeah, that's what I figured, something there. So it's just a garbage dump we were worried about too, eh? Like with a quadruplex, you have a lot of garbage. And it's only 3 meters from his property line. Closer to his. That's what we were worried about, eh? Actually, the building is still far enough away from the fence line, property line, I think.
Through you, Mr. Chair, that's correct. On the side of your property, Ms.
Yes, on the
Johnston?
side of the property,
Uh,
where they're building back further to the property line.
Yes, but on the side of the property, the western side abutting your property, all zoning requirements are met, including setbacks and the
Yeah,
buffer strip.
mhm.
Yeah.
So that's what we were worried about. there
Okay,
when we
thank you.
saw
Anything further?
that. No, that was it.
Good, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Comments from the members? Yes, the applicant. Oh, yes. Oh, good. Hello. State your name, please, and.
Can I go ahead and talk?
Yes, please.
Okay. I guess I'll start off with Ken's first point with the fence. I spoke to Ken way back when we had done the original rezoning of the property, and my intent is to keep putting a new fence in between where the parking heads and his property to try to avoid, I guess, headlights and whatnot, all those nuisance things. So the garbage thing has given me quite a bit of thought as well. I know it says garbage storage, but I potentially would like to maybe put a building for it, like an enclosed building, instead of having an open storage area, which I would be totally open to. Hopefully it would control the smell, cleanliness. I think it would probably be the best suitable option for the situation with the garbage there.
Any questions to the applicant?
Hi, Tyler, it's Ken.
Yep.
I agree with you, and that's a great idea of maybe making a good structure on there, but for the garbage. But I guess another point my wife had brought up is over a period of time, who's going to be taking the garbage out there and bringing it to the road? Or is there going to be a regular maintenance, like taking it from the storage out to the street? Or is it going to be built up in there until a certain time that they end up emptying it out? I have no idea.
Well, if I could respond to that. the four people that will be living in this building will have a chance to, and I'm kind of thinking of, I'm not sure exactly on the bylaws, like kind of like an Amish building, one of those wood frame structures with a lockable door. Everyone would have all their containers in that building itself. It would be their requirement to bring it out to the street on garbage day, turn it back to the spot, but at least it gives them a concealed spot to put it in, to try and help, like you had alluded to, the smells and the site, not looking at a bunch of recycling bins, more or less looking at I guess you could say a property, a little storage facility that I can keep a few things in and keep the garbage out of the site and concealed.
Sounds good, Tyler. I like the idea.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just add, under the new bill, or the Bill 23, the Build Homes Faster Act, we're not required and we're not permitted to enter into site plan agreements anymore with units under 10, with buildings under 10 units. However, if we could have a site plan, maybe not the agreement, but that the site plan would be acceptable to the city, that would show the fence that the neighbor is concerned about, so that we would know that there would be a fence, and then we could get the the height of it and what materials that Mr. Sally's proposing to build with it. And we could also get a schematic of the proposed shed for the garbage as well, and have that in a site plan and have that in the file, so that then we know that those two issues are addressed to the satisfaction of the neighbors, to meet their concerns about privacy and about the garbage.
Yep. No, I'm totally in agreement.
Any comments from our members? Yes, Ian.
So if he was to sort of change tack, and admittedly, I like the idea of a garbage storage building, given how close it is, is that going to meet, I don't see any other accessory buildings. So will that meet with approval?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So the requirement for accessory structures is 4 feet from the property line. But so it would conflict with the buffer strip being there, because there is 1 meters. Okay. I'm very sorry to everybody. I did not learn metric and imperial conversions in school.
If I could just add, then we will ensure that it meets the setback requirements, the building, for an accessory building. Okay, so it would have to have 4 feet on one side, 4 feet on the other side. So if we just moved it down just a little, it's 1.2 meters is 4 feet. So it's just a matter of moving it a few inches, and it'll meet the setback requirements.
But generally speaking, we see it as being doable.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Further question, obviously we're adding a new building, and I'm assuming the new building is roughly going where there's currently a garage-ish type thing?
That's correct.
Okay. Then we're paving a parking lot behind. Do we have any issues with flooding out the neighbor, particularly the one to the west?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have received comments from our operations department on the grading plan. They have been working with Mr. Sally to address any drainage onto both the westerly and the northerly properties, which are both of the individuals here. They represent those properties. So the operations department is working on a solution with Mr. Sally.
If I could just add, Mr. Chairman, that'll be part of that site plan, not the site plan agreement, but the site plan. So we'll make sure that it's either a swale or that there's a moving of a retaining wall you had mentioned, something, but that the operations department will be, it has to be acceptable to the operations department. So they can't just flow water onto the neighbors.
Tyler, for your information, when it comes down to taking the trees down, you have been trying to get a hold of the Pembroke Hydro before to remove some of the tree branches that were inflicting on my power line. Actually, they're bending the power line over.
Mhm.
So you have to be careful. I have a number, or anybody has a number for Trevor from the lineman's there from the electric department. Anyways, just want to let you know that before they start tearing it down, that there is a problem with the wire there, and you might have to contact Hydro before you start.
Yep. No, I definitely will.
Thank
Will
you.
contact I.
Need a decision on this motion to approve. Moved by Ray, seconded by myself. Further discussion? All in favor of the motion? Carried unanimous.
So, Mr. Chair, can I just, I guess the motion would be to approve the application subject to a site plan. And then that we will deal then with the fence and the garbage building and the drainage.
Agreed by the mover and seconder?
So, so if we can't enter into a site plan agreement anymore, what is the purpose of the site plan other than wishes and hopes and dreams and unicorns?
Well, then we would get him to sign to say that that's the site plan. And then when he goes to get his building permit, then that plan would have to be implemented. So the accessory building would need a building permit, as well as the addition. And then we can ensure that the drainage is met at that time, and that the fence. Anything else you'd like to add?
It would depend on the size of the accessory building as far as whether or not it required a permit. So,
So-
other than that,
So we can't force a site plan agreement anymore, but we can still hold other things hostage pending a site plan.
Because this would be a condition of the minor variance. So the condition is that a site plan acceptable to the city has to be provided. And so then we would want to see that those items, so we could maybe withhold maybe an occupancy permit or whatever until the drainage is fixed. And
Is everything all right with this? Who's going to address?
I'm going to address it. So I guess maybe we should have did this before the meeting. So Tyler, you don't have to stay if you don't want to. So it was approved, and there's a
Okay.
20-day appeal period, and you'll be getting a notice in the mail.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Take care,
Okay.
guys.
Okay, bye. So as you saw this afternoon, a minor variance is a small variation from the requirements of the zoning bylaw. So as an example, like if an applicant wanted to build an addition onto his house, he has to be 4 feet away from the side yard, from an interior side yard. And if he couldn't make that 4 feet and he was only 3 feet, then he could come to this committee, apply for a minor variance, and then this committee would make a decision. So under the section 45 of the Planning Act, there are 4 tests. And as you heard Owen's reports, he made mention of those tests. The first test is the application minor. Now, I love this test because there's no definition for minor. So you have to, in your mind, determine what you think is minor or what's major. And we kind of look at the property as a whole. And if we feel that most of it is in keeping with the zoning bylaw and the official plan, then, and there's only a couple other items, then, we might deem that as minor. The other test is the application desirable and appropriate for the neighborhood? So does it fit in? Is it compatible? Or does it stand out like a sore thumb? Does the application conform to the general intent of the zoning bylaw? And does it conform to the general intent of the official plan? So those are the 4 tests. So if a property owner wishes to apply for a minor variance, he applies, and then we send out a notice to all the adjacent landowners within a 200-foot radius. So they're given an opportunity, like you saw this evening, for the 2, for 2 of the residents to come and state their concerns with the application. So at this public meeting, the applicant also gets to make his presentation or her presentation on their proposal. And then again, then you make a decision on the application. So now, due to changes to the More Homes Built Faster Act, only the applicant, the minister, or a specified person or public body that has an interest in the matter may appeal the decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal. So like people that have a list of specified persons that have an interest could be utility companies, railway companies, and telecommunication companies. So this act now eliminates the residents' opportunity to appeal. So, and this is what was in the report that Owen brought in last month. Again, it diminishes the democratic process. It doesn't give people an opportunity to say, they get disillusioned. Why do I even bother coming? You know, all these things. So it's unfortunate, but there are no more appeals to minor variances or severances from a neighbor. So like this evening, we will send out a notice of passing to the all the agencies and to the applicant, Mr. Sally. We will also send it out to the 2 people to know that it has passed, but unfortunately they're not given an opportunity to appeal. So if there is an appeal received by one of the permitted people, then we must send the whole file to the Ontario Land Tribunal. They create a date for us, they hear both sides, and then they make the final decision. So that's the minor variance process. And the fee right now is $500 plus HST for an application. So, and we're going to be looking as staff at the city of all fees and services, and probably, looking at a cost of living index maybe each year to increase the amounts of the applications. So if there's any questions. Oh, I knew I couldn't get away without a question.
I was just gonna let everybody else go first. So when we're sending out the notice to the neighbors, is that a prescribed form, or do we have any ability to, for example, I guess my thought is to mention to neighbors that your comments to us and your opposition at this stage is really all that's left. So I don't know if it's a prescribed form, obviously there's nothing we can do, but I actually wouldn't have a problem highlighting that for neighbors to say, if you do have a problem, yeah, I'm just going to stop talking because Colleen's already smirking, so I'm assuming she already has an answer.
Well, we did. We changed our notice to reflect the fact that because the previous notice said you have the opportunity to appeal if you don't, agree with the decision or you have good planning reasons. So we've changed the wording, but we indicate that they're still invited to come and provide their feedback. And look at these 2 people this evening. I mean, we might not have ever thought about the garbage or the fence. I wouldn't have thought about the fence. So now at least we can try and make them happy, and the applicant's willing to do it. I mean, I'm bound by not having a site plan agreement, unfortunately, but if we can do a site plan and tie it in with the building permit, then we'll have a little bit of clout.
If I may, I think, in my opinion, us getting creative, and I think I might have said this at our last meeting when we were talking about the Crappier Build Homes Act. Ford's not watching, I'll call it what I want. That we are going to have to get more creative to protect our municipality's own interests. and something I would have never thought we would have to do, but is also to try and protect the interests of neighbors, not just in a regular judicious way, but I mean, in a, we really have to take the neighbors' thoughts and opinions into account now, because we're the last hope. Whereas I think prior committees might have said, well, if the neighbor doesn't like it, they can always appeal. We can't look at it that way anymore. We need, when we do get an opposition or we do get questions, I think we have to take a look at it extra carefully. Not that I don't think this committee did, but I think we now have to keep that in mind as something we definitely need to watch out for now.
Past decision update on 574 East.
So at this committee's last meeting, they heard the file Z1 2023 for 574 Pembroke Street East. And the committee recommended that council approve as bylaw the amendment to the zoning bylaw. This was done on February 21st. It is currently within its 20-day appeal period, which is set to close. The final day of appeal is March 14th.
Now, I guess the next meeting. Do Mondays, last Monday, is the month good for everyone? Seems to be a good time. This place is available generally. So that will be then April the.
So March
Or March, sorry.
March 27th.
March 20, okay.
And
Well,
I believe we already have, but
March 27th.
3 rezonings, 4 rezonings? 3 rezonings and 1 minor variance or something. Yeah, it's spring has sprung in the planning department. So spring has sprung. So
Okay, yeah,
it'll be
okay,
busier,
March
yes.
27th. Sound good for everyone?
Traditionally, I think the chair brings food if we're expecting that.
Oh, I like poutine and Pepsi.
Okay, so if that's okay then. Motion to adjourn. Yes. I think we need a seconder, but just in case. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Earlier than my wife expected.
Expected or wanted.
Yeah.
So